children, adolescents, are very smart. So they pick up on when there's tension, when there's disarray or problems in the home. It's really important to try to keep the students away from any sort of tension, a family tension in the home. I mentioned the learning history earlier. Has it been years that the student has been getting the tablet for free, quote unquote free? Because again, the longer that learning history is there, the longer it's going to take to undo.
Hello, Linwood Unified School District families, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom. We're very grateful that you took time out of your busy day to join us for this very special podcast. So today we have an important guest with us, and we're going to discuss something that I don't think we like talking about. It's a very difficult topic for us, as parents and just ourselves, is behavior, right? There's a lot of definitions that come from behavior. So today we're going to dive in a little deeper on our special guest speaker. She is going to introduce herself, but we're very grateful here for Linwood Unified that she has joined the Student Services team for about 2 years now. So without further ado, I'll let Jackie introduce herself and explain a little bit of what she does here in Linwood Unified.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Jacqueline Ramirez. I am a Certified Student Support Analyst. That's a mouthful, right? Yeah. So the acronym is CSSA through Student Services. And what that is we're technically board certified behavior analysts, so BCBAs. And what a BCBA is a professional that has training in behavioral principles and applied behavior analysis and the science of behavior. So what BCBAs do is we look at behavior and the environment that influences the behavior. So there's a lot more to it that we'll go over.
So you spend a lot of time studying a person's behavior, pretty much.
Yes. And the environment.
So you're kind of scary. You're a scary person to be around.
No, we're not.
No. Yes, you are, but no, you're not. You're important because a lot of times we need to understand, especially here in the education field, we need to understand why behaviors happen to try to help. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure we help families, we help teachers, we help students, we help everyone be the best version of themselves. And I think that helps us as adults as we keep learning and growing and trying to understand certain things and why we do what we do, right? Because it's not only kids growing. We grow every day.
Yes.
As adults, right? So we appreciate you being here.
Thank
you. I appreciate you being here in Linwood Unified because it truly has helped us the last few years since you guys have been here, try to address some of the behavior challenges that we've had here in Linwood Unified. And we truly appreciate the knowledge that you bring to the district. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I love it. I love it here.
Yeah, good. I'm glad because we need you here.
I love my job.
Thank you for being here. So let's talk a little bit more about what a child behavior analyst does here in Linwood Unified. Mm-hmm. So when we refer you to work with a family and students, what does that look like? What is it that you guys do?
Okay, so when a student gets referred for our services, it's usually when, teachers or principals see challenges, behavior challenges, either in the classroom or out on the playground with other peers. And they've tried other strategies, like, for example, they may have worked with the SEL, the social emotional learning specialist. They've tried different strategies and they still have not seen significant progress in the behavior. So sometimes we'll do consultations, but other times we'll want to dive in a little deeper and really assess why are these behaviors happening, and how again how is the environment influencing the behavior? Why is a student getting triggered, and what can we do about it? So the way it looks is we'll go in and we'll do a lot of homework, really. So we'll ask everybody that comes into contact with a student, teachers, campus monitors, principals, parents, tios sometimes, like babysitters, everybody that knows a student. We want to get a good understanding of what the behaviors look like, what is a good, like a strength-based approach. So what the student likes, because everything that we do is based on motivation. So we do a lot of interviews, observations, and then we try to identify the function of the behavior, which is just a fancy word of saying like the why. So why are they doing this, right? And then we come up with a plan to prevent the behaviors from continuing to occur, while also teaching other more appropriate behaviors. So instead of doing this, how about you do this, right? And it's easier said than done, but our goal is to ensure that everybody is empowered, first of all, to know why the behaviors may be occurring and what we can do about it.
And I think I jumped a step in saying, like, what do you guys do? But what are some of those behaviors that might get you referred to a student? Like, what are some of the things that we see where we need more support?
So it could be like aggression, outbursts and tantrums. Sometimes we see some what we call property destruction, where they may be throwing some items. And this is like more of the severe behaviors, but other things could be like cussing or defiance, elopement, which is when they leave the classroom without asking. Those are like the more of the majors, but there could be like inappropriate play out on the playground. Sometimes they don't know how to play appropriately, or even other like minors would be like not completing the work, refusing to do work.
And this is probably more of a long-term basis, not like a one-time situation. Like, let's say a student has a day. Everyone has a day. So they won't, I don't want you guys to think we'll automatically refer you to a student, if they have a days, but most of the time if it's happened for a certain period of time.
Right, if it's been an ongoing issue, right? And that's why we want to make sure that the student has been offered other supports, like I mentioned, the SELs or...
And the SELs are social emotional learning specialists at every school. All elementary schools have them, and they're actually going to be a guest also. And they work with students on identifying their emotions and helping them navigate and reinforcing those emotions. So you're saying they'll work with them first and maybe a licensed clinical social worker or other people before they take long-term support through you guys.
Yes, so we definitely want to make sure that we're following, that we're trying other preventative strategies, right? And not just assuming like, they're having behaviors, like we need to jump them to tier 3, which is the most, intrusive supports that we offer here. We want to make sure that we're motivating the student in the class, like just using other strategies before we jump to more intrusive, like a behavior plan that we write for them.
So this podcast is designed for parents and, families to give them support at home. So if I'm a parent at home and I want to know, is this just a small phase my child is going through, or is it something that I think I need to look? Like, I've noticed my child has more aggressive behaviors the last few months. Is it just a phase, or do you think I need to seek more support to see if it's long-term?
I would say, that's like a 2-part question. So I would say, first of all, it never hurts to ask for help, right? And I would always say, always ask for help. Don't assume that the behavior is just going to go away. The sooner that we intervene, the better, right? Because the longer, we call it like a learning history. So pretty much it's like the longer that the behavior goes on for, the harder that it could be to undo that behavior. So always ask for help. Parents, don't be afraid to ask for help. It can either be from your PCP or your doctor, or coming here to student services and just saying you have some concerns, and then we can definitely reach out and provide suggestions. But another part to that question, I think that we have to look at the severity too. So if it's a very severe behavior that's not appropriate, like developmentally appropriate, that interferes with like their daily function. Like, are they able to be to function in the home? Are they able to function in a classroom? And if the answer is no, then that's probably going to be, I don't want to say a red flag, but
a red flag.
But a signal like cueing, like maybe we need more support.
So you're saying, like, if a parent has noticed that in the last month a student has been not like doing their homework like they used to do, or being more defiant towards their siblings or not doing the chores that they used to do, there's probably something happening, and they probably should seek some support.
It could be, I mean, everything is like a case by case basis. It could be something like, friendships that may be broken down that are affecting them, but we can't make any assumptions. So that's why it's always ask, always ask for the school for help, reach out to your doctors and let them know, like, hey, is this something I should be concerned about? Don't make any assumptions that it's just going to go away on its own. We always want to make sure that we get all of the medical factors ruled out so that we know it is just behavior. And if, for example, it is a significant change, if we do work with a student, we also would be working with the social workers or the SELs as a team. So we're all, providing support to the student.
How does family dynamics in the home play into a child's change of behavior or behavior altogether?
Well, children, adolescents are very smart. So they pick up on when there's tension, when there's disarray or problems in the home. It's really important to try to keep the students away from any sort of tension, family tension in the home. And then especially that we are modeling appropriate behavior when we're having, moments of stress. So if a child is constantly seeing a parent that's stressed out and the parent doesn't have appropriate coping skills, then the child doesn't have that daily model in learning those coping skills and being able to learn and engage in them themselves. So I would say that students, children, adolescents are like little sponges. So whatever is that they're around in their environment, that's what they're going to, mimic, right? Because they're like sponges. So just being careful and don't assume that the child isn't paying attention or watching you or learning from you, because they are. Parents are like the first teachers, right? Until they get handed off to us here at the school district. So being aware that they are paying attention to you in the home and learning from you as well.
So what can we do as parents if we know there's a little bit of stress at home? So for example, let's say we just lost a family member that lived in our home and was very close to the child, like that's gonna have some behavior outcomes. What can I do as a parent to make sure that my child has the support they need so that he or she can process something like that a little bit more?
I think that's more of the scope of the social emotional learning specialists and maybe the LCSWs, the social workers. But if there's like overt behaviors, and that's just a fancy word of saying like behaviors that are like openly displayed that we can observe, then we can come in and teach some coping skills, teach the student to express how they're feeling, and that can help. But I think that definitely reaching out to the SELs for that emotional mental health support that they need during hard times
during that
like
time. So pretty much it's very important for parents to keep the communication open within the home and school when there's something different. Yes. Because it's hard for schools to know when something's happening.
Exactly. And then that way, say for example there's a loss in the home or there's some significant change going on in the home, the teacher can know to check in on the student, like to show them some extra love, like check in with them in the morning, like, how are you doing? If you need a break, let me know. Letting the student know, like, you can take a break if you need it, like, it's okay, and we're going to allow you to take that break. But again, I think it is really important to communicate when there are changes in the home that may be affecting their behavior, because if we have no idea what's going on and 3 weeks later we come to find out and we're like, oh, had we known what was happening in the home, we would have been able to be, more proactive in checking in with the student and letting them know that it's okay to ask for these breaks or these supports if they need it.
What's the connection between a student's home? Let's say a student has chores, responsibilities, different tasks that they have to do at home, and a behavior at a school. Like, what's that connection like?
I think having age-appropriate chores, right? Age-appropriate chores for children and adolescents teaches responsibility. It teaches them to be more independent. And it also gives the opportunity to reinforce these behaviors so we can continue to see them, right? And I think it also helps teachers be able to have these expectations of them as well. So oftentimes I hear, oh, little Johnny, is having a lot of behaviors at school. He's having a lot of trouble following directions and doing his work. He doesn't want to do his work. We check in with the parent and they're like, well, we don't see any of this at home. Like, this doesn't happen at home. So then usually my follow-up question is, well, what does it look like at home? Like, what do you have little Johnny doing at home? And sometimes they're like, well, they get home and then they eat and then they're on their tablet for a while. They watch some TV, play a little bit, take a shower, go to bed, wake up the next day, right? So I think that it's hard for students to listen to a teacher from 8 to 3, right? And it's highly structured in a classroom setting and they're on a schedule and they have assignments they have to do, and then not have any expectations from their parent, their number one authority figure, right, at home. So I think it's really helpful to have expectations of children at home so they know you have expectations. You're a child, age appropriate expectations, right? But we do expect you to, to grow, be independent, and hold them accountable as well for if they don't do the chores.
Yeah. And I think as parents, sometimes we think we're helping them by not giving them responsibilities because we think sometimes, oh, I don't want to stress them out and have them do this chore. I don't want to have them stress out. I want them to focus on school and just do that. But I think that we take away that feeling of accomplishment and value, like when they complete something. So yes, sure. I think we are guilty as parents sometimes where we think we're helping, but we're kind of hurting them at the same time. So that's really important for us as parents to remember and realize that we're also training. It's like when we look at them, we see our baby, but we got to remember we're looking at a 20-year-old. How are they going to be when they're 20?
Exactly.
When they're 25, when they're 30. It doesn't start overnight.
Right.
So how soon should they start having chores?
Well, that's a tough question. And it all depends, right? It all depends. Like, are they the only child? Are there other siblings? How available is a parent? Because we want to make sure that you're also spending quality time and, playing with them and socializing with them and all that stuff. And it's not just chores. That's all I see from mom and dad. They just tell me to do chores. We don't want that either, right? So I think there just needs to be a balance, and whatever works for you as a family is what works for you. There's no cookie cutter approach that's going to work for everybody. And even with our assessments and our plans that we write for the students, there's no cookie cutter approach. Yeah. It all depends on the student, the family, and the dynamic and the needs and all of that. But I would say that the earlier, the better, right? Teaching them to be responsible and that there are expectations of you. And when you meet these expectations, you're going to get all the cool stuff you want. You're going to get the tablet time. You're going to get TV. You're going to get, the special treats, cookies, whatever it is that they want. And when they don't, okay, you didn't do your chore today, so you could try again tomorrow, and then maybe you can earn your tablet time tomorrow. So teaching them that their behavior has consequences.
Yeah. Good
consequences, tablet time, cookies, extra playtime, and the not so good consequences, like you didn't earn it today, you could try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what I often see is, I don't want to say giving it for free, right? But these students, children, adolescents, get what they want without really having to work for it. So that can be a problem when we're really not having any expectations of them, because then I'm like, well, they're already getting the tablet, so how are we going to motivate them to do their work when they're already getting it anyways, right? So I usually tell parents, like, sure, if you want to let them play with the tablet or have TV time, cookies, treats, whatever, and these are just like random examples, provide it to them, but at least let them believe that they're earning it, right? Like, I love how you cleaned your room. Great job picking up your shoes. You can go get your tablet now. Or using what motivates them to have them complete a certain chore, job, assignment, whatever. Okay, yes, you want your tablet? Go do your homework first, and then you can get the tablet. So that's one of the strategies that we use a lot. A lot of what we do is based on motivation. So when I mentioned when we do interviews, that's one of the first things that we ask. Like, okay, what is a student like? What are what's their favorite thing in the world, right? One of my students, it's soccer. So I'm like, okay, he's going to earn soccer. So for every assignment that he does, he gets some soccer time, right? Using their motivation to get them to complete a certain task or chores, assignments, whatever it is that we want them to do. But again, if they're getting it for free at home, why would there be any reason for them to do a chore that they already don't want to do, right? Because they're already getting the tablet for free.
Right. So that must be difficult when they come to school and then they're being asked to produce work or be in order to play with the toy. It's kind of like they have to know. It starts at home, the training, because when they come to us, we're just continuing it. I mean, that's in my thinking how it should be.
So at school, yes, you're right. There's a lot of it's highly structured at school. They're on schedules. Everybody needs to be on the same page. There's one teacher with a whole classroom of students, right? Everybody needs to be on the same page, transitioning when it's time to transition, cleaning up when it's time to clean up. So parents can really help teachers by having not the same structure, but having some structure at home so that students, I keep saying students, but it could be like children, adolescents,
right,
are more prepared to tolerate these transitions at school that are not so fun. Because usually school, the transitions are from work to more work, right?
Right.
And you can't play during this time because we're learning and we're working.
Right.
So structuring in the home can be really, really helpful in teaching those basic skills like, okay, it's time to turn off the TV and time to get ready for bed, right? And if you're consistent with those expectations, I would say and assume that the student's going to be better prepared to transition from a lesson to independent work in the classroom, right? Because they're already getting that structure in the home and they have those basic skills.
Yeah, which will later allow them to transition from school to work.
Yes.
As adults, right? It's all phases. Like it's all connected from when they're little to when we're adults. Like it doesn't start overnight. It's all connected. So what would you tell a parent that, let's say I'm trying to put some structures in place, and let's say my child has been allowed to use the tablet for free however they want. I say for free how you said it. Like just without anything to produce to use it. But now they're throwing tantrums because they've been allowed to, but now I'm trying to, because I don't think it's ever too late to create a structure for your child.
Right.
Right? I mean, it might be too late if they're like out of your house.
Right?
Right?
Like
They're
adults.
They're adults. They're not in your house anymore. So that's, it's done. But if they're in your house, you, as the adult, you still have time to create, right? And it's, of course, it gets harder with age, but let's say that you're now implementing structure and routine, but they're throwing tantrums and they're getting upset. What would you tell a parent that's dealing with a child that throws tantrums and get upset and you're so tired? What do you do?
So much. I'm really glad you brought this point up because expect it to get for there to be some resistance and pullback, right? And we always give the example of a vending machine, right? So I'm gonna show you an example, right? So say, for example, every day you go to the same vending machine, you put in your dollar, you get your snack or your soda, whatever. Every single day, right? You put your dollar in, you get your soda. One day you put the dollar in and the soda doesn't come out. What's gonna be your reaction? Like, what do
you kind of start hitting the machine so the soda can come out,
right? So you say you hit it a couple of times, it doesn't work. Then what do?
You hit it harder.
Hit it harder.
Yeah, you hit it harder.
And then you'll probably start moving the machine, getting frustrated, maybe like, some people might cuss, right?
Yeah.
Until you, at what point do you figure out, like, okay, this is not going to work, and then you walk away.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing when a child's going to expect, but I get the tablet every day. You're not going to give it to me today? What? The behaviors are going to increase because we're switching it up on them, right? We're switching up what they're used to having. So expect resistance and pullback, but if you remain consistent and clear, like, you can have the tablet, but first you need to do your homework, and then you can have the tablet. And then you can be empathetic, like, I'm sorry, it looks like you're upset about this, I'm sorry. You could take some deep breaths, you could go take a break in your room. But like I said, first you need to do your homework, and then you can have the tablet. And then when you remain consistent, just like at some point we'll walk away from that vending machine, we're going to say, well, none of this is working. I mean, hitting this vending machine is not working. I'm just going to walk away and just kind of give up, right? It'll happen also, like, with the student or child. At some point, they're going to say, well, this tantrum's not working. And then the behavior will go down. But we need to be consistent. If there's one day where you give in and you give the child the tablet for having a behavior, guess what they're going to learn?
That it works.
The tantrum worked, right? So that's why consistency is very important. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because when we do switch up the expectations, there's going to be resistance, right? There is going to be some pushback and an increase in behaviors, and we expect that. So that's why when we start services, we say oftentimes behaviors will worsen before they get better. But we do expect that, and because of that, and the vending machine is such a popular example of that. That even as adults, our behavior can increase when something gets switched up on us as well, right? So just remain consistent and clear, and then you can, tell them, like, I'm sorry that you're sad, it makes me sad too, but you need to do your work first, and then you can get the tablet.
How long do you think that lasts for them to know, like, okay, this is not working? Is it like weeks, or maybe, I guess everyone's different, right?
Everyone is different. And then also, like when I mentioned the learning history earlier, has it been years that the student has been getting the tablet for free, quote unquote free? Because again, the longer that learning history is there, the longer it's going to take to undo. I guess that would be my response to that. It really depends. But if you're consistent, over time the behavior should reduce and then should go away.
Okay.
But we need to be consistent. And then not only consistent yourself, consistency with everybody in the home. So that's why when I mentioned earlier, when we do our assessments, we interview tias, tios, grandparents, anybody that's taking care of the kid, teachers, campus monitors. We interview everybody to see how they're interacting with the kid. And then also when we do implement our plans, we want to train everybody, right? So we're all consistent in the way that we are responding to the behavior, consistent in the expectations that we have of the kids, consistent in the reinforcement, consistent in the withholding of the whatever it is that they're working for. We've been using the example of the tablet, but so we want to make sure that everybody's consistent, because then kids know, well, mom doesn't give me the tablet, but I just gotta wait for my abuelita to get home and she'll give it to me, right? So I see that a lot too, the abuelitas, they always give in, right?
Because they love the babies.
Yes, and they should, right?
Yeah.
But also, just telling them it's because we're trying to teach them that, they need to earn these things, that because the teacher's having trouble with them at school or whatever it is. Sometimes when we put it to them in that way, they're like, okay, I get it, you know? And then I know, so it must be really hard, right, to see your kid like crying and sad, and these kids are heartbroken that you're taking away the tablet.
And mad at you.
And mad, right? But ask yourself as a parent, like, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to teach my child that they can't have everything that they want in the moment for having behaviors or for not doing anything to earn it, right?
Yes. So I have another, as a parent, how do you keep your bond and positive relationship with your child while sending boundaries?
Mm-hmm. So I think that children don't have to earn our attention, right? I think that's important to show them attention just to show them attention, right? Like checking in with them, having a sincere, like genuine interest in what they like and how their day was, and then being empathetic when they say that things, something's bothering them or when they look sad. Playing with them, taking time to play with them. I know that when I started in the field, I kind of struggled with playing with kids. Sometimes you forget to be a kid when you become an adult, but play with your kid, like spend some time doing what they like to do without having any expectations of them, even if it's just like 5-10 minutes a day, every other day, once a week even. I mean, depending on what you can do, but just having this time where we're just me and you hanging out, having fun together, and it's just you and I, right? Nobody else. It's really important to have that relationship and build that trust with the child. And then I think that it's important to be consistent so that way the child knows to trust you, right? Like mom said, if I do my homework, I'll get the tablet. So I'm going to do my homework because I know mom doesn't trick me, right? I'll get the tablet, right? So building that sense of security and trust and stability. Children need stability, right? And that can all come with being consistent and consistency in our approaches, our expectations, and also the way that we reward them, right? And also not rewarding them if they don't earn it. So these children know exactly what's expected of them, and they trust their parents.
How does did we talk about routines and schedules? How does that fit in with, because I feel like it fits in with the trust, the safety, kids having a routine and a schedule that'll help important with the whole expectation thing. Like, I feel like it's all connected.
It is all connected, right? So routines and schedules are important for all the same reasons that we just mentioned. The kid knows what's expected of them. They know what's coming next. There's no unknowns. And then they know that they just know what's going to happen, right? It gives them a sense of security. And with that comes consistency. And we're consistent in the expectations and the routines that we have. Sometimes kids already know what to do. Like, it's really hard to teach these routines at first, right? But when you put in the work at first, the kid already knows what to do. Like, once they get home, X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, it may look like for you right in your home. But I think that it pays off for parents because they're not having to be behind their kid for every single little step of the day. Kids are very, very smart. And if you set the bar high for them, age appropriately, right, they're going to meet you there. Kids are very, very smart. I always have parents like, I didn't know you could do that. Like, just amazed and in shock. Like, I didn't know they can do that. I'm like, yeah, you just got to give them the opportunity sometimes to be independent, and they'll do it. Like, kids are so smart. I'm amazed too. They're just so smart. We know kids are smart, right? But like, they're even smarter than we think, right? Yes. And they're very, I think they do like to please parents and teachers and stuff too. So, but again, it's all connected. The consistency, the routines, expectations, reinforcement. And reinforcement doesn't have to come in the form of like tangible things like the tablets, the cookies, and all that stuff I mentioned. It could be just like positive praise, like, hey Johnny, thank you so much for picking up your shoes. Like, I noticed you picked up your shoes, thank you. Even just like acknowledging that you did it, because sometimes what happens is kids get attention in the form of reprimands, right? Yes. Like, or they only get attention when they're quote unquote bad or when they do something inappropriate, and we don't want that because sometimes kids want that attention, and even reprimands, that's still a form of attention, right? Sometimes when we have a behavior that has a function of attention, the parents are like, but I was yelling at him, like, how could he want? I'm like, but it's you weren't giving him any attention before then, right? So even reprimands is still a form of attention. We didn't go over the functions of behavior.
We didn't. Yeah, let's go for it. Okay. So what are the functions of behavior?
The functions. I know early on we mentioned the functions of behavior. So the function of behavior is just a fancy word of saying why. Like, why is this behavior occurring? So there's 4 main ones. And the way I learned to memorize it when I was in school was the acronym SEAT. SEAC. So S stands for sensory. So these are behaviors that we do or engage in just because they feel good. So like you're tapping your thumb right now. Yeah. Some people play with their hair, other people tap their foot, they're tapping on the table. These are all sensory behaviors. We do it just because they feel good. E is escape. This is a big one that we see in school, escape from anything that they don't want to do. So if you tell your kid, like, go clean your room, and they keep playing on their phone and act like they didn't hear you, they heard you, but it's just like escape, right? They're just trying to escape a task, like some non-preferred thing that they don't want to do. So escape is the second. The third one is attention. Attention from an adult. It could be other peers. Attention could be negative or positive attention, right? So like I mentioned earlier, reprimands are also a form of attention. Example of that is like when a peer is like doing other things to annoy the other kids in the classroom, and because they think it's funny, they're not, the response that they're getting from the peers is not like a positive one, but
it's still attention.
It's funny to them, right? So attention, right? And then the last one is tangible. So access to a tangible. A tangible could be like anything, like a thing, a cup, a tablet, a cookie,
anything they can touch.
Video game. Yes, so something. I don't know how else to say.
Yeah.
Something
they can touch, yeah. An item.
An item, yeah, an item that they want, a preferred item. So SEAT, sensory, escape, attention, tangible. So next time your child has a behavior, try to ask yourself, like, what's the function? And remember SEAT.
Yeah.
Even just teaching parents that, I think, is really empowering because it gives them a sense of, like, I know why you're doing that. You want the attention. I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever. So
that is very interesting. Yeah. Sometimes we just think you just want to be mean to me, or you just don't want to do the work, but it could be something else behind that.
Sometimes there's 2 functions at the same time. And we see that with escape a lot. So say, for example, a kid is escaping, like they don't want to clean their room. They're escaping, that chore because they'd rather play on their video game. So I would say, like, well, the function of them ignoring you is escape and tangible. They're escaping the chore of cleaning their room because they want to play with the video game instead. So sometimes it's 2 functions.
And we need to remain firm as parents and say, finish that, and then you'll be able to stop escaping.
Don't let them escape.
It's your responsibility, and then you can get this reward. Right. Well, the time is coming to an end, but I want to thank you for being here today. And is there one more thing you would like to share with the families that are here today? It's a process. That's one of the titles of this podcast, A Child's Behavior. It's a process. Everyone's growing, everyone's learning. There's phases, there's different things. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think if I wanted to leave anybody with some pointers or gems, is just be patient, because it does take a while to change behavior. That way we're not responding to the behavior in a reactive way. So we're doing it more in a thoughtful way. So stopping and thinking before you react. Because again, if you're reacting in a intense or excited way, the kid can pick up on that and react that way as well. So again, remember, we're their first teachers modeling behavior. Try to be patient. Take a step back if you need to. Walk to another room.
But come back.
But come back, right?
At some point.
Take the time if you need to, right? But then also be consistent. Yeah. Patient and consistent, I would say. It takes a while, and try to get your whole family on the same page and communicate with teachers. Like, say, what can I do to help? Like, or can you help me in this, right? Like, remind him that he's working for video games at home when he doesn't listen to you, Miss teacher or whatever, you know, like we're here to really work with you. And the more that we work together with families and teachers and anybody here at the district providing support and care for the students, the more effective that we're going to be able to be, right? So patience and consistency.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us today in this episode, and we hope that you found some of these tips very beneficial. I did. And we continue learning and growing as adults. Again, if you are in need of any type of support, please reach out to your local school. There are case managers, there's social workers, there's SEL specialists. Speak with your administrator. And if you want to meet any of our CSSAs, they'll be more than happy to connect you. So again, thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.